All right, I got another one for you guys. This is going to be my Starfield mini review. It's going to be a mini review because I have not made it through the main story arc, and I don't think I'm going to, but I'll get into that in a little while, along with my kind of summary of why I feel the way I feel about Starfield. Let's just get into it right away and start with the good. Start on a high note. So the good about this game is actually really good. The good is the ability to explore and pick a random star with a random planet, pick a random location on that planet, land, and find weird stuff to check out, interesting loot, interesting resources, what have you. That has been very well implemented. That is something that I really appreciate, and I could definitely do that for hours and hours and hours on end, without question. The ability to just kind of putter around the galaxy or the explored systems in this case, and find those locations and go into like these abandoned facilities and find pirates and loot and treasure and everything else, and just check it all out like that. That is definitely my jam. That is definitely interesting to me, and that might be what I end up doing with this game going forward if I continue playing it. That's the interesting part. There's a lot of different stuff to find. There's a lot of different gear. Keeps things interesting, and the locations are very varied. There's a lot of different things to discover in Starfield, and that variation keeps things interesting. It keeps things fresh because you don't know exactly what you're going to find when you land on a random planet somewhere. So that's great. That was very well done. I've also found like random facilities in orbit, and random ships, and just run across these random encounters, and you don't know what you're going to get, and it's kind of neat because that was always fun in Fallout and the other Bethesda titles, but it's kind of gone to another level here because it's across this entire region of space. So you've got these different, a lot more variation in encounters and types of things that you're going to find, between in space and on planet and what have you. So that really keeps it interesting for me. So that was the big good. That was the unquestionably good part about Starfield, is that mechanic, that ability to have those random encounters. Moving on to the bad, however, the bad is going to be the limitations of where you can go within those confines. Now, to be fair, the idea that you can land on a planet and then walk 10 minutes and run into an invisible wall, I've never run into that because I've never gotten to that wall because there's always something else to do. There's always somewhere else to go and check out, and it doesn't affect gameplay at all, those limitations. However, where they are impacting your gameplay is that the game is built in such a way that you're going to have to go back to your ship and take off. You're going to have to go to a different planet. Eventually, you're going to have to switch from that area to somewhere else in one way or another, and every time you do that, it's a cutscene. So if you want to leave the planet and take off in your ship, it's a cutscene. And it's the same cutscene every time, just with a different background. If you want to land, it's the same story, same cutscene, different place. Switch between one planet and the next, same cutscene, different planets. Go between one star and another, same cutscene, different locations. So it's always these same cutscenes that you're watching over and over and over again. They really pull you out of the story. You really feel like this is not a seamless environment, and that kind of breaks my immersion pretty bad when I keep seeing these same cutscenes over again. There are ways to get around it that I've been discovering, where you don't have to see the cutscene and you just kind of jump there. But even with that, it's still immersion breaking. It's still kind of annoying to see that you have to keep going back and forth like that. So that is kind of a bad part, but the limitations themselves, at the very least, are not noticeable. So that's, I guess, half of a good point and half of a bad point. The big bad part, the big bad point of Starfield, the thing that's going to prevent me from finishing the main story, is absolutely 100% the writing, the character development, the plot, the whole thing. It is very obviously California style mentality. And by that, I mean they are very, very smug about their game. They're very smug about their, oh, we're the explorers and everybody doesn't care anymore. But it's important and it matters. And we're special and we're going to do it anyway. And this, that, and the other thing. And it's just, it comes off as as a very big superiority complex type thing. It comes off as this very hipsterish like mentality that oh well, we're a NASA punk environment, we're a NASA punk universe and NASA punk is cool and this is how we do things and all that, and getting to the NASA punk thing, I don't mind the aesthetic. I don't mind the idea of NASA punk as an aesthetic, and that's kind of cool, and it's a neat idea, but you shouldn't have based NASA punk on 90s and 2000s NASA. You should have based it on like 50s and 60s NASA when space exploration was cool, when we did cool stuff with it, when things were a little more dangerous and risky. This feels like a bunch of nerds in space. I mean, listen, I am a nerd, all right? No question about it. And when I think that these characters need to be swirlied, there's a problem, all right? If that's where my head goes, like this character needs a noogie because they are such a freaking nerd and so superior about it that they need to be put in their place with a swirly or a noogie or something. When I think that, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign on how your writing is going, because that is not something that I think at all normally. But there we are. It's very palpable. It's very obvious, this mentality, this hipsterish, holier than thou, better than the flyover territory kind of mentality. And it's absolutely the people that they hired to write this game, and it shows. It's not like other Bethesda titles. It is very palpable. It's very immersion breaking, and it is keeping me from enjoying the main story. It's keeping me from enjoying side quests too, because side quests are just as poorly written, if not worse. So the quest system, it's going to suffer from that. It's going to suffer from this superiority complex. And also, beyond that, the writing is very poor. The writing is very, ready, fire, aim kind of mentality. Like, we want this to happen in the story, and therefore we're going to write the universe around it to make it happen. And it gives you this sense that you're just kind of along for the ride, because they're writing the story and they're in the driver's seat, and you are just an observer at that point. So even though your character is like all this, super important, most important guy in the universe kind of thing, a lot of times it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you are just along for the ride, and it's just, it's going to go whatever, no matter what you do, it's going to go a certain way, and it doesn't really matter what you try and do. So you lose that agency, you lose that ability to connect to your character because of that method of writing. And that's a very popular way of writing in modern entertainment, and I'm not surprised that it's in Starfield. I'm just disappointed. So between that and the smugness, it's just breaking me out of the game, and I just can't get into the story. I can't get into the actual, I can't engage with that content because of the way it's being written, the way it's being pushed off to me. And that's a big problem, and that is why I'm not going to finish the story. So yeah, that's pretty much the bad. In addition to that, like the character development, again, with the writing, the smugness comes off in the characters. They all have that nerdy superiority complex in their tone. It's very off-putting. Even their quips and stuff, it's just not good. It's not a way to write a game. You gotta do a little better with your characters, so that we want to like care about them. And I don't at all about any of these people, about any of the characters in this game. Side quest people, main character, quest people, none of them. Honestly, just the way that they're coming off in this whole thing, it's not helping the situation, and that's just the way it is. So now, lastly, let's get to the ugly, which is kind of an interesting and kind of fun category. So we did the good, we did the bad, and now we're going to do the ugly. So the ugly is the immersion breaking bugs. There are some whoppers in this. I guess the big one is like NPCs walking into walls. There's your character getting stuck when interacting with certain things. Like I was working at a workbench trying to upgrade some spacesuits or helmets or something. I clicked out of it, and lo and behold, my character is stuck there. I can't move the mouse. I can't look around. I can't leave the bench. I can't do anything. I tried to go to the menu or the inventory, came back, nothing happened. I had to actually exit out of the game and go back in to fix the problem. So luckily I had a quick save that was recent, but yeah, that is a big issue. I don't know how that can happen, but there it is. The other issue I've seen is there was a few instances where objects were clipping into each other, and it was like throwing off their physics, so they were flying around the room and just going all nuts. So I mean, those kind of things kind of break you out of it. You know, that ain't supposed to happen in real life. So yeah, that's kind of a weird thing. But overall, those bugs, I would have to say that they are a little worse than bugs from like Skyrim or Fallout. Not as bad as Fallout 76, but still pretty weird. But I would forgive it. Honestly, I would forgive those bugs because they're not terrible. They're not going to crash your machine. But they'll take you out of the game. You'll have to quit and restart a lot of times. But yeah, they're not like the end all be all. They're not a no deal type of situation. They're just bugs. And honestly, with Bethesda's new engine, this is a major step for them. This is a new engine. This is new tech. It's a lot of new features, a lot of new code, a lot of new everything. So I give it a lot more leeway than probably most people would. But yeah, they're still there, and they're still weird, and they're still kind of ugly, and they make it kind of difficult to play the game sometimes. But it is what it is. So and they'll get patched out, I'm sure. But yeah, the ugly is the ugly, and honestly, it's not the worst part of Starfield. Whereas I would say absolutely with the other Elder Scrolls and Fallout titles, the bugs were the worst part because the games were great, and they were enjoyable, and the story was engaging and interesting, and the characters were worthy of engaging with were relatable and interesting. So again, it's down to that writing. That writing, it just kills the game. If it weren't for the terrible writing, Starfield would actually be an awesome game. But it is what it is, and we got what we got. So I guess I should give you guys a score. So I think I'm gonna have to give this 6.5 out of 10. I would have probably given it a 3 if it weren't for the fact that you can really run around and do whatever you want in this universe and explore a lot of different things and find a lot of different things. That alone makes this game at least playable. The story does not, the writing does not, the characters do not, the bugs don't help. So yeah, I mean 6.5 out of 10, and that's where we're at. So that's pretty much what I got. And let me know what you guys think about the game. Have you been playing Starfield? Do you like the plot? Do you like the character development? Am I totally off base here, or are you in the same boat that I am, where you can't engage with the story, but the actual game mechanics are pretty cool? Let me know in the comments, and if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to hear more from the perspective of an indie developer in the games industry, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you guys later.